When it comes to sports games on consoles or PCs, like many gamers, I often prefer a more arcade-like experience rather than a simulation type affair. Certain sports games fare better than others, however. Take the NBA Jam series as a fine example for how to make a sublime arcade sports title that appeals to more than just core sports game fans. Nintendo had long realised this even by 1999 when Mario Golf was released worldwide, and continued their partnership with Camelot Software, who took the development helm. After Camelot's insanely fun golf title Hot Shots Golf on the PlayStation, like many gamers, this was an N64 title I had very high hopes for. Saying that, I also had my reservations prior to the game's release. On the one hand, I wanted a game I could quickly pick up and play, but on the other hand, I wanted a game which also required skill and had a deep level of mastery should I decide to really put the hours into it. Thankfully, Mario Golf hits both of these wishes and some more on top. Featuring 18 characters, of which the majority you need to unlock, and 6 championship courses, already on paper this made it the largest golf title on the console, albeit with next to no competition. Add to that dynamic camera angles, additional game modes and fantastic ball physics, and it's clear that Camelot really wanted to make this something special. When starting the game, you're presented with a wide range of different game modes, and trust me when I say there's something here for absolutely everyone. The tournament mode sees you go up against a total of 29 other competitors, all with the aim of being top of the leaderboard at the end of the 18th hole. Get character mode is how you go about unlocking the numerous other playable characters. Simply pick which character you want to unlock and go head to head over a course. If you win a hole, you'll win a point, and the most points at the end of the round is the winner. If you defeat the character, then you unlock them, and naturally, the harder the characters are to unlock, the better they are in the actual game. And some of the more talented characters like Metal Mario are really a big challenge to unlock. On an interesting side note, there are also 4 additional characters you cannot actually unlock in the game alone. In a stroke of pure genius, or annoyance to some gamers depending on how you look at it, you'll need to use the N64 transfer pack to unlock the last 4 characters from your Game Boy copy of the game. Without this, there's no way to unlock those characters even with the cheat codes from what I found. Ring shot mode sees you attempting to shoot the ball through rings on the course, which gets moved into progressively more difficult positions. Personally though, I see this more of a practice mode for learning how to successfully position shots. Speed golf, as the name suggests, is not about how many shots you take, but it's all more to do with speed, and so you'll spend less time lining up the perfect shot and spin, and more time smacking the ball as hard as you can, getting it as far down the course as possible, and eventually putting it to secure a quick time. Stroke play is your standard round of golf, and skins match is another form of a point-based scorekeeping system. Club shots mode randomises the clubs you have at your disposal, and so it really comes in handy to learn the uses of the various clubs, and it makes you think outside of the box when picking your shots. Now, aside from the training mode, which is self-explanatory, there is also the mini golf mode, which I instantly felt attracted to. There are 2 courses unique to this mode, which are Luigi's Garden and Peach's Castle, but sadly, this mode is somewhat of a letdown. When I saw mini golf, like many others no doubt, I was expecting some wacky holes set in the Mario Kingdom with total mayhem taking place. Things such as Chomps going wild or Peach's Castle's drawbridge being used to make a time-sensitive shot. Instead though, what mini golf is, well, it's essentially courses shaped like numbers and letters, and that's it essentially. If there's one criticism of the game, is that this mode should have been so much more, perhaps even its own separate game. But even after a few games of playing the mini golf mode, you'll quickly realise it's extremely underbaked. Now, with there being so many game modes, it could be hard to decide exactly where to jump into the actual game itself, but when you do, you're in for something quite special. Even if you're experienced in golf games, I'd still suggest that you complete the tutorial mode to understand fully just how to play the game, because whilst the cartoon visuals may give you the impression that this is a basic game, the fully loaded game engine underneath it is far from it. At the start of each hole, you'll get a beautiful sweeping flyover of it, and then you're free to move the camera around to get a feel for how the land lies, and to check the wind direction indicated by the boo in the top right hand corner. After making your various adjustments, you start the horizontal swing power bar at the bottom of the screen moving, and you press the A button to stop the slider at the amount of power you require. Then, when it comes back down the gauge, you want to stop it to fix the slice of your shot. Anyone who's played a golf game should feel right at home here, as it's pretty much standard, but you also have the ability to change the spin point of the ball before to add some roll forward or backspin when landing. Practice really does make perfect though, and it could be easy to become frustrated at the game, as putting is extremely unforgiving, and it does take some time to be able to read the greens and take into account the weather conditions and so on. Even then, being able to control everything so deeply meant that no matter how much time I played the game, I never felt like I'd completely mastered it, and that's the real beauty of the game. You'll think about playing it for just a short blast, and before you know it, you spent hours tinkering away trying to land the perfect hole-in-one or the longest drive possible with Metal Mario, or simply relaxing and enjoying a more casual gaming experience. The courses themselves are great to look at and naturally take inspiration from the Mario universe. Whilst I don't feel that they took the Mario world as far as it could have been taken, the subtle nods in the shapes of the courses or the designs of the tournaments clearly shows that the studio loved working with the Nintendo brand. Like many third-party studios that use the Nintendo license, visually it's not quite up there with an internally produced game. Some of the characters and their animations seem a little off, and the character choices in the game is also, shall we say, somewhat unique. Having Mario World characters mixed in with human characters just comes across strange to me, and there are some great character ideas for whichever reason were not included in the game. Thankfully though, the frame rate is rock solid, and at no time did I notice it drop even in the slightest. Yes, you could say this is given the slower paced nature of the game, and it being less graphically intensive in style, so there is no problem with anything like fogging anywhere to be seen, aside from Boo's courses, where it's added for a slight visual effect. More great features include the dynamic camera, which positions itself in some great places to track your shots and add some drama to what could otherwise have been a fairly traditional aesthetic to a golf game. Look out for more subtle features like ball effects when you get a perfect shot, and the scenery reacting to the weather conditions and wind speeds. And as expected with most Nintendo games, the audio in this game is full of sickly sweet tunes and melodies, and hey, I'm not complaining. I really enjoyed the music in Mario Golf, and sure, it's fairly slow, relaxing, and you'll be hearing a lot of it by the end of the 18th hole, but it doesn't become a distraction, and that's exactly what's needed in this type of game. The sound effects too are also very well done, and aside from the usual lines you'll hear from your favourite Nintendo characters, the human characters also have some spoken English lines too. You can expect things like compliments coming from the characters, and aside from some noticeable compression, it's quite understandable and clear. The sound of the balls pinging around and whooshing through the air are all nicely done, and nothing stood out as being out of place, so again, nothing to complain about there. The game itself is playable with up to 3 other friends, but I really do think this is a game which any newcomer would struggle to pick up and play. If you're all of a similar skill level, I'm sure you could have some epic tournaments, but playing against somebody brand new to the game would be like throwing a lamb to the slaughter, and you'd have little enjoyment watching them blow putt after putt as you await their next hole starting. With so many game modes, good presentation, and a deep game engine, there really is something for everyone in Mario Golf. When you first start the game, you'll likely stick to the basic characters and game modes, but as your skills develop, you'll be delving into the more gifted characters and attempting to shave shots off your scorecard and bettering your handicap. So despite being what may appear on paper to be just another sports title, the Nintendo magic does it once again, and this unique game really should be in everybody's N64 library. It's no surprise to me that this is in the top 40 best-selling games of all time on the console, and so I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels the same way about Mario Golf. And so for today's topic of conversation, I'd love to know what your favourite Mario sports title is from any system, and your reasons for it. So sound off in the comments section down below, and until next time.